What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Extra Yard. We are joined today by our man, Alfredo Arteaga, host and contributor extraordinaire for 5 Reasons Sports and 3 Yards Per Carry. Alfredo, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, before I get into anything else, I do want to make fun of Juan real quick for 1 second. Juan, you commissioned that video, right?
I dance every single time.
No. Hold on. I love that video. I think it's fantastic. I just want to make sure that the guy who you won't even say his name.
Well, that's when I
want to remind you that he's right at the beginning.
If you see, like, because obviously other people don't see it, but you and Kai see it. There's a moment where like I stop, and then like I get back into it.
Oh, that's the moment.
It's literally that moment.
It's literally that moment every single time.
Every single time.
So are we gonna like clip that part out, or are we just gonna like maybe put like a white?
I don't know. We're gonna, depending on how training camp goes, if he's still on the roster, which we're gonna discuss. We'll see. Maybe we gotta edit him out, or we gotta add somebody new.
We could just do something like this. All right. So we want to thank you guys so much for coming back to the show. I'll let Juan back in. I know some people like him, but that's fine. We want to let you guys know of a lot of things. So this 5 Reasons Sports is going to be your place to keep it locked in all season long for Miami Dolphins coverage. Alfredo and the group are going to be doing 3 yards per carry all the time. And their information is good. It's credible. It's consistent. And they've got Christ Kaufman, who got the draft picks absolutely right in the last draft. So make sure to follow that. You've got us here. Our Extra Yard crew is going to be doing the pregame show before every single Dolphins game. And then you've got Louis Sung hosting the post-game show, again, here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel after every single Dolphins game. And we at Extra Yard, as we've said before, we're going to be doing 2 shows per week during the football season. One to kind of recap the game and one to kind of preview the next one. So again, the coverage is here. We've got people that are going to be going to camp and chronicling all that. Listen, this is where you want to keep it locked in. And not only on YouTube, goodbye, Kai, not only on YouTube, but you can also follow Finn's Dynasty on Instagram. Finn's Dynasty is an account that has partnered with us here at 5 Reasons Sports. They put up a bunch of stuff. If you like getting your news one-liners on Instagram, this is the place to do it. And with that, we'll transition into our first actual talking point. This is all anybody wants to talk about. It's this guy right here.
We don't get any discussion today?
Oh.
We're just going to go straight into it? We don't get any talking? How was your week? Alfredo's with us. He's got a 5R hat on.
We said hello. I had a whole thing. We were good. We were professional. But no. Go ahead. I'm
just saying, how's everyone's week been?
I'm just making sure.
It's been stressful, Kyle. Let me just tell you. It's just it's if it's not one thing, it's another, man. And it just feels like, I thought the last 2 weeks before the draft were gonna be the most longest feeling 2 weeks. And it just feels like these next 2 weeks before camp are gonna feel like the longest. If I thought talking about Tua was annoying, talking about Xavien right now is triply annoying because nothing new has come out. It's like just an Instagram post, which
okay. So we are going to talk about Xavien right now, right? Because Kai stopped me when I was going to take us there, and then he did another thing, and then Juan took us there.
I'm just saying.
You know
also,
what?
For anyone, if you ever see me leave, it's because I'm in the midst of an allergy attack. So if I leave screen, that's why.
Yes,
so let's start with our guest, the one who's probably going to be the most professional and handle this better than the rest of us. Thanks, guys, for making us look fantastic on that. Alfredo, just this whole saga, I'm going to call it a saga at this point with X. Even his whole career. I mean, he started off on the team. People weren't too high on him. He played well, had some injuries, came back, had a monster season after they went ahead and signed Byron Jones and drafted Igbenogany. We know what he has said on that. Now it's coming out that he doesn't want to play. Maybe what's going on with Xavien? Give me a little light here.
Well, there's 2 weeks left for camp, right? So his agent and those around him are going to plant as many stories as possible to try to get his name into the news as much as possible. And they're going to talk to anybody who's friendly with him that will put stuff out there for him. But, I said this a month ago, there's no substitute for math. And the math suggests he really doesn't have a very, very good hand to play here. Okay. And when I say that, it's simple mathematics. Okay. First of all, when people say it's not about the money, it's always about the money. and especially when it's in this case, when it'll cost them not only the $800,000 game checks, okay, which are nice. It's nice to get that check that says $800,000 on it, right? But the $50,000 a day that you have to pay to sit out training camp, plus the $27,000 for suiting up every single regular season game. Because he gets $27,000 every time he's on the roster for every week without being on the injury report. So we're talking about millions and millions of dollars that if you just add it up, it's essentially him giving back everything he's already made. Yeah, and what he has made is somewhere in excess of about $34 million for 18 months.
Now, so do you think that the Dolphins...
He's gotten paid Pat Mahomes money the last 18 months.
Do you think the Dolphins knew that and kind of foresaw this when they structured his contract? Before we get into anything else with him, because this contract was brought in at what we would all say was a good time. We think it was a fair contract. And then all these other cornerback contracts came in and kind of made that one look a little bit smaller. So was that move at the time smart for the Dolphins in retrospect or not?
Yeah, it was really smart. And, it's not an altruistic moment. They're not being Mr. Nice Guy by just giving him all this money up front. They structured the contract in case his knees did give out. Yeah. The contract would end up it would turn out to be something like, 3 years at about $14 million a year, which put him in somewhere in the top 5, which they were happy with doing. The thing is that there's still 1 year left in what they hypothetically wanted to do. So, like, if his knees went bad, they probably were going to cut him before the 2022 season. So, the way they structured the contract protected them and got some money into Xavien's pocket. So it was a win-win for all.
Yeah. Juan, what were your thoughts on this whole thing? I mean, you're saying he gone Igbo season. So you're making it look like no more 25 on the Dolphins.
Nah, he's going to definitely be on the field. I'm just being facetious. I just going into it initially, I will say I was probably more so on the side of if he's going to be unhappy, just trade him. But I would definitely say after multiple conversations with Alfredo, he's not going to be skipping out on that money. He's not paying back the Dolphins all that money. And as much as he wants to say he's going to put pressure, I'm almost like 99% sure he'll be there day one. Is he going to be happy about it? Is he going to be, happy go camper? I don't think so. I don't necessarily think either he's going to be, a cancer to the team either. I just feel like it's a very delicate situation, and Flores kind of already described it as I think he said unique. I think it was the word he used. And ultimately I feel like there's like a contrasting like opinion or feeling when it comes to like teams retouching a player's contract for his betterment, and when the team wants to do the opposite to retouch a contract for their betterment, there's no reciprocation of like, oh well, he's selfish, because that's really the main feeling that I'm getting throughout Twitter is just X is being selfish and X doesn't, he's not being a team player. When in reality, like, they did the same thing to Albert Wilson. I mean, they touched up his contract a year into it. They did the same thing with Calvin Noy, and I think me and Alfredo have both been on the record as saying like, he got a hell of a vacation for 6 months, 15 million. So I think, yeah, like the team knows what it's doing in a sense. They definitely rushed to pay him to kind of beat the other contracts, and it kind of feels like they did the same thing with Baker. So maybe it's more of like that's how they're looking to deal with deals. But that this is kind of like the negative side of that, to where if he does ball out and he does kind of get insulted or disrespected, like he said, he's gonna ask for more money, or he's gonna ask for respect, I guess.
Yeah. Kai, what did you think about the whole thing?
I mean, as everyone knows, I'm an Xavien Howard truther. I have been since day one. Literally, if you want to go check the receipts, you can search up at Samurai Radio and Xavien Howard, and you will see my tweets. I've been a truther since the day he was drafted. Obviously, I don't think that he's going to get paid more by the Dolphins. I also just don't feel like he's going to be traded before camp. And then I agree with both Alfredo and Juan. I just don't think he's going to skip out on that money. I don't think he's going to want to pay the Dolphins back because you're just paying what you were already paid. So essentially what you're going to play all these games, go ahead, do this work, go out and you ball out, but then you're going to skip out on these opportunities and go ahead and then repay the money that you just worked so hard to go after and get. I just see that that's not something that he's going to do. We might see that as some other potential names, who knows, like outside of the Dolphins and what'll happen with that. But I don't think that this is something that Xavien's going to end up doing because, and to Jock's credit, as he even mentioned it in the chat earlier, for those who don't know, Jakari Givens, who works with us here at 5 Reasons, he had even mentioned, he's like, in his opinion, thinking, hey, for X, it might kind of all be about money at some points. It could all be about the fact that, you want to get paid and you want to get that raise. And I think we all agree that he deserves a little bit of a raise. Now, will the Dolphins give it to him? Who knows? But I think there are some people who might side on the fact of, oh, well, you signed the contract, you know what you're getting into. I think at the time it was a smart deal. I know a lot of people didn't like it because of the injuries and can he really stay healthy? But if they can keep him, if they can find a way to keep him and keep him happy, I'm all for it. Again, I've been a truther, but at the same time, I think you don't trade him for anything less than a first-round pick.
Sure. So we'll go around. We'll go around now. And we'll ask everybody. And this time we'll start with you, Juan. What do you think is going to happen in regards to X and this whole situation? And two, what do you want to happen regarding this whole scenario?
I mean, I would love to have X in a Dolphins uniform till he retires. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna be traded or moved this season. I definitely feel like he's gonna play like unhappy or disgruntled or whatever you call it. He's gonna have another, I don't think he'll have 10 interceptions again, but I feel like he'll have another strong season. And then next season, it's probably he gone season for sure, in my opinion.
Alfredo? Nope.
I completely agree. I think it's going to be the same thing. I think he's going to play this season, and then next year they're probably going to trade him if he continues on with wanting to be the highest paid player in the NFL or the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. If he continues with that in 2022, then absolutely, I could see him being traded.
Okay,
but he'll play this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I figured that's what we all expected, right? Like even when they drafted Noah, I think wasn't that the expectation kind of anyways? Everyone's like, okay, this is probably a signal that X is going to be here for one more year. I don't think that and look, for even myself being a truther of Xavien Howard, I don't think anyone thought that he was going to go out and have the season that he had where he was arguably one of the best defensive players in the NFL and up for defensive player of the year. Like, I don't think anyone could have looked at that and said, all right, X is going to do this. He's going to ball out like crazy. I don't think I mean, if someone has a tweet that they said before this past season, then
I don't got none.
Congrats, bro, because you've seen the future. You're like the TVA and Loki. But like I don't think anyone saw that was going to happen. And I think that everyone thought that was going to be the thing. He'll play this season out this year, and they'll probably trade him after. I think his great season and then Noah just not looking good at all. But I mean, who could blame him? He's I think he was the youngest player last year, or was one of the youngest players.
I think he was the youngest.
The youngest.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't really think you can blame him for that. At the same time, if Noah does great this year, then hey, who knows? X could be gone.
Right. So you know what, Alfredo, we'll start with you on this one. Here's my genuine question on it. Do you think that X is what made the defense made X? Like, and the reason why I asked that is he had 10 interceptions. That was great. That was because he's a phenomenal player who deserves to be paid as one of the top cornerbacks in the league. That is also because I think it was a good scheme and he has a good defense around him with guys like Byron Jones who don't have the interceptions number, but are there playing good defense, forcing it the other way. Which one do you think made the other, if that is the case? And do you think if he were gone, that the Dolphins defense could be at least as successful or close to as successful as they were last year?
Yeah, I think it's partly it's both, right? Because like if you look at his 10 interceptions, 2 are just plays that he made. Nobody else on the team made it for him. He was all alone and he made them. And that's the pick against Kansas City and the pick against the Jets. Okay, those are just 2 plays that he made. Nobody else helped him make it. If you look at the rest of his interceptions, they either come in cover 0, where guys are just throwing it up and he's just making a play on it. And he's, he has great ball skills, so he's going to come down with the football. Okay. But that's a feature of New England defenses. Okay. And it's what Brian Flores brought over here. So can the defense be as good? Yeah. Will those 10 interceptions go away? Likely. You maybe you replace 2 or 3 of them, but maybe they get turnovers elsewhere. Maybe they get them somewhere else from somebody else, or maybe those 10 interceptions come anyway, but they come now a little bit more spread out. Maybe Javon Holland plays and he gets 4 or 5. Maybe Eric Rowe gets 4. So the defense, I think, can be as good, but his play, he played perfectly inside of a defense that really, really suits him because that's what he's good at. He's a good boundary corner, and especially in a blitz style, in a heavy blitz style system where they play cover zero, where he gets to play inside leverage and just play guys man to man all over the field. That's where he's best, and he's in a system that actually suits him.
Yeah, Juan, if X is traded, what's the lowest amount of compensation you're willing to get in return for him?
So actually, I had two questions for Alf, and one of those was that one. My thinking with that, and I'll give my opinion first before I'll give it to you guys. I don't know if we'll get first round picks for him this year, and next year I could see it even less. I just don't see anybody as a win now that would give up a first to a 28-year-old unhappy under contract with potentially debilitating knees that will give up a first. Like it's just, for me, I'm already looking at it as a GM from another team, and that's already what I'm going to start the conversation with Greer with. I don't know if it'll get anywhere with a second rounder or maybe 2 second rounders. I don't know if that'll get the deal done. But I would love to know what you think, Alf.
Yeah, I would have to get back at least the first round pick for him. And for this year, if it's a team that is a contender and they think that a shutdown corner is what they need to win a Super Bowl, I'd ask for, because remember, if it's a team that's close, you're talking about a first round pick that's actually kind of worthless. It's in the late 20s, almost 30, right? And if they win the Super Bowl, it's probably last in the first round, right? So I would also ask for a useful player. And when I mean a useful player, a player under 30 that can be a starter on our team, a center, an edge rusher, somebody who could be useful. So I could see us trading disgruntled players with somebody, and then they paying us a first round pick as a premium for us to take that player and them getting X, But another part of that is like whoever gets Xavien Howard has to rip up that contract, because if you're trading for Xavien Howard, and he's already said, look, because if Xavien Howard gets traded by Miami, it means that Xavien Howard said no to extra guarantees, to getting some incentives put into his contract for the next 2 years. So that means that whoever trades for him has to rip up an entire contract and give him a brand new contract at $18-20 million a year. And where's the team that's going to do that? I don't think it exists. That,
I don't know if you can confirm this or not, but I was reading that if the agent just gets him more guaranteed money, he doesn't get a touch of that because he didn't do that deal. Mm-hmm. That the agent would need to actually have a new deal in place to get that 5 or 3%, whatever it is he gets off that. I don't know if you can confirm or deny that.
Well, for a deal the size of Xavien Howard's, it should be 1.5%. But for the agent to get it, if he gets any new guarantees, those are new pages to the contract. Those belongs with the new agent, David Kenner. Okay. Demarius Bilbo would just get new monies that are tacked on in salary to the original contract. So Demarius Bilbo would have to be consulted, though, because he wrote the first contract. So it has to be on his books as well. So he has to know if any new money is coming into the deal. But anything that gets tacked on to the contract, which is a guarantee, is an extra page to the contract, that belongs to David Kenner. And I will say this before we move on, because I know we got other things to talk about. I heard said earlier today, and I know if you guys weren't going to ask me, I was going to bring it up anyway. But I heard it said somewhere, and you guys could look at it. It's somewhere in the interwebs, all right? In the tubes, the inner tubes. Look in the inner tubes, and there's a podcast somewhere that said, well, maybe Xavien Howard's just going to be disgruntled, and he's just going to half-ass it. And maybe if they pay me like a left cornerback, I got to play left cornerback, and you can't leave me on an island. Okay. No NFL player in the right mind anyway. Okay. I'm pretty sure there's been some NFL players that have done it. All right. Yeah. And they probably don't play in the NFL anymore. But can you imagine the signal coming from the sideline and Brian Flores looks over at Josh Boyer and says, we're going to go cover 0 here. So send in the signal for cover 0. And then Eric Rowe gets the signal and he puts it out. And Xavien Howard says, whoa, hold on. I know that it's 3rd and 8. but we're not going cover 0 because I'm not going to guard Stephon Diggs man to man. All right, I'm just not going to do that. Can you imagine a player doing that, or a player saying, "You know what? I'm not playing zone."
Like Scottie
here.
Pippen, or nah?
Yeah, and what happened to him? He's a Hall of Fame player, and he got benched, and then he got it. It stuck with him for the rest of his career to the point where he got traded to Portland over it.
To the point where now he's saying that was a race thing because that's where it went.
So look at how far Scottie Pippen took it. 30 years later, it's an issue with Phil Jackson. So no, there is no such thing as a guy saying, "You don't pay me, I ain't gonna do this." No, it doesn't work that way. You know why? Because there's film and stuff like that gets around the league. And second of all, not only does it show up on film and it gets around the league, coaches talk to coaches, GMs talk to GMs. But do you think that Raekwon Davis is going to turn around and say, "Wait a minute, my cornerback doesn't want to play man on this"? Okay, he has to answer to his own teammates.
Mm-hmm. True.
Okay, no. If he plays, he's going to ball out. Okay, he's going to play as hard as he can because he's going to want to continue making those checks or just retire. You know, you made enough money. You can retire. you made $34 million the last 18 months. Retire.
Jeez.
In that South Florida, tax situation too.
Yeah. So it's, there's worse things you can do in this world than retire with $34 million at the age of 28.
You think he would really do that though?
No. He's playing.
I don't think. Yeah,
I don't think he's that to that level.
Look, Xavien Howard. Look, Xavien Howard hasn't done anything wrong. I know people are calling him selfish, this, selfish, that. Being he's not a bad guy. Okay.
Nope.
He hired an agent. He said, "Look, man, I don't like. Look, facts are facts. All right. He's going to make somewhere around $14 million this season if he plays. That's well below what what scale is really for what he is, right? So he hired a new agent. He fired his old agent, hired a new one, and said, "Look, man, give me some more money." And do what you got to do. And his new agent, David Cantor, is going to go out and do that. It has nothing to do with Xavien Howard being selfish or being a bad guy. I'm pretty sure there's a win-win situation here that can be had where they could both, meet in the middle, get him some more guarantees, get him into uniform, and then you trade him right behind his back on 2026.
We'll send him to Cleveland.
Yeah. No, Cleveland could be good, really, really good. And we could be competing with Cleveland. You send him to the NFC.
Don't ask Michael about Cleveland. Cleveland
I
is
don't
like
think
the worst
Cleveland's
team in the NFL.
I don't think
Cleveland's
it,
you
man.
send him to the NFC. You send him to the NFC in 2022.
Nothing that comes out of your mouth, Juan, about records matters because
that's true. Boy, you untrustworthy.
You don't get any credit anymore. Bro.
To me, the whole thing with this contract situation that's funny is, to the people that are calling X selfish, I asked them, "Do you think the organization is being selfish when they cut a player with an injury, or when they cut a player because they decide that player just doesn't fit with the team anymore?" That's what I say.
They're just acting in their own self-interest.
Everybody is working in their own self-interest, and it's a business because at the drop of the hat, if somebody calls and say, "Here's 2 first-round picks for Xavien Howard," even if X said, "I love being on this team. I'm going to retire here. I'm happy with this contract."
Yeah, and
if somebody called and said 2 first-round picks, they're going to trade him.
Greer's driving him to the airport himself.
And that's a fact. If somebody goes crazy right now and calls up the Dolphins and says, "Hey, how about 2 first-round picks and a second?" They don't even think about it.
Where do you want me to send him to? Where do I sign?
I mean, they did that with Laramie, and Laramie was not unhappy with the team.
I think I had heard that he had walked in and looked at what they got for him, and he's just like, "Damn, I would have done it too."
Yeah, the rumor is that Chris Greer, when he was asked about Laramie Tunsil, he said, "No, he's a core player. He's a guy that we're building around, and you would have to blow us out of the water for us to trade him." And they said 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. You throw in Kenny Stills, and he says, "Okay, we'll send you Larry Tunsil like in the next 5 minutes." And it was as simple as that. I even reported. I said, "Look, I put it out, and I remember clearly, man, on the 3YPC account, I put out, if the Texans offered 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, I think they'll part with Larry Tunsil." And Texans fans were calling me. They were saying that I was on crack.
We know somebody else who was on crack too.
People were saying this Dolphins account is delusional, thinking that the Texans are going to send 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. Sure enough, it happened. My dream,
it could
be a situation like that.
Yeah. My dream is that Bill O'Brien gets another job as a GM somewhere,
Facts.
somewhere just so that Chris
New
Greer
England.
can keep manhandling him.
New England. Hey, it
Right?
can happen in New England. He's tight
could.
with Kraft. He's tight with Robert Kraft. So
That's my whole thing for the people that call it self. It's just like, come on, what are we doing here? Everybody's trying to do what's best for them. Let's relax, realize what it is, and at the end of the day, it's like you're saying, he's gonna play in a Dolphins uniform if that's where his contract is. He may be unhappy, but he's gonna do it, and he's gonna do great because that's what X does. And even if, and God forbid, but even if an injury comes along, you know, like I hope nobody uses that as an opportunity to like jump on him, be like, oh, you see your like.
I'll
like,
jump on them. That's why he was holding out.
Exactly. Like, let's be sane here, people, please.
I think one of the things too, and Miami fans should know this very well, unless you're like, I know there's Dolphins fans that aren't also Heat fans, but I mean, in terms of like the selfishness, and we see it everywhere. I mean, we can go as far back to the Dwayne Wade versus Hassan Whiteside situation. And you know, Dwayne came out and had that interview where he said, oh, you know, it's not about Hassan, it has nothing to do with him. But like, you know, in terms of him leaving and going to the Bulls, but let's be real. The Heat chose to pay Hassan Whiteside over someone who has been there and was the savior of their franchise.
Sick to hear that.
And look, that's what it is. And this is the dude that you have.
It's like
Wade
Culpepper
County,
and
Wade
freaking
Boulevard.
Breeze to me.
But you get what I mean? It's like there is look, it's a business.
Bro, stop
It's
with
a
the Culpepper
business.
stuff though, because let's be honest. Hey, I'm gonna be frank. I was excited about Culpepper.
I think I bought his jersey.
I remember
think I bought
going
his
into
jersey. I'm not even
Publix
front.
and seeing Culpepper on magazine covers and the Culpepper jersey T-shirt in the Publix at the checkout lines because everybody was excited.
Yeah,
right? Like this was it. This was we were
I'm gonna
turning
look
the
up.
corner.
I'm gonna look up his numbers the year we got him.
God, he did so
it is-
bad. I remember
I-
that
like-
Pittsburgh game. Oh my god.
Well, Alf does that.
All
Like,
right.
it's true. It is what it is, and they don't have the loyalty.
Okay,
Yeah.
remember he got
Everything.
injured. He got injured the year
Like late
Before.
October, right?
Mhm.
the year before. No, the year before he came to Miami. Okay, he was bad, but he played with a knee injury
Mhm.
that whole season. Okay, and he actually had a bad season. But the year before that, he had 4,700 yards passing, 39 touchdowns,
Oh.
and 11 picks.
Oh,
What year was that?
That was 2004. Okay, and I'm pretty sure he had a lot of rushing.
And
touchdowns, too.
that was back when you could like push a receiver out of bounds, and I think it still counted like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
As long as
Oh,
it was
by the way, he
that
also
they could
had
land.
406 yards rushing and
oh
2 more
my
touchdowns.
gosh. Is that more than anybody had on the Dolphins the last 2 years?
I think he would have led us in rushing.
Damn.
Okay,
I
so
mean-
he was a superstar. All right.
You were excited. I feel like everybody was excited when Culpepper was coming down, and it
Everybody
made sense too because it was Breeze was the shoulder, Culpepper's the knee. Science and your brain tells you
You want a
quarterback
quarterback?
needs his shoulder.
Yeah,
I'm
and
okay
it's
with
also
him
the
not being able to
optics.
move.
It's also the optics, right? One guy's like 6'5", 240,
The other's like barely.
and the other guy was
5'11".
Drew Brees
Yeah.
with a shoulder injury.
And
He looked
one
frail, he looked weak.
had played amazingly in the NFL and put up
Yeah.
monster numbers.
The
The other
guy
one
was
played okay. He was
getting
serviceable.
replaced by Phillip Rivers. I mean,
Right.
there
So,
was a
which
stigma
one are you
about
gonna
it too.
take? It broke my heart, dude. I was so mad. We have other stuff we need to talk about, but I hate Juan now.
And by the way,
for-
a lot of people. This is the argument I've had with a lot of people, and everybody says, "Oh, but Sean Payton didn't come to Miami," and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. You got to slow down. You got to remember that when Nick Saban was here, remember Nick Saban would have been his coach, right? The offensive coordinator was Scott Linehan. All right, Scott Linehan is widely considered one of the greatest offensive coordinators of all time. He actually got 2 jobs that he was terrible at because he was such a good offensive coordinator. His offenses were patterned after, well, it was the other way around. Sean Payton's offenses were patterned after what Scott Linehan used to run. So I'm pretty sure that Nick Saban probably would have won a Super Bowl here.
Oh, shut up,
Yeah.
man!
Wow.
Don't say those words.
Holy.
All Juan's fault. I was making a good approach about why
I
this is
can't-
all in the business, and then Juan just goes, "Don't
No.
take Culpepper for
Like-
Drew Brees."
Like you know what it is. And look,
Jeez.
listen. People can
Nick
say whatever they want.
Saban.
You know what is the greatest college
A
football head
motherfucker.
coach of all time?
Who?
The greatest college football head coach of all time. Okay, right? Who
I don't
said,
watch college
"I'm not
football.
leaving Miami." Lil JK, you did the next morning, right?
Freaking
Could have
Chris-
won a Super Bowl here,
St.
and-
Nicholas.
and he would have run the team well. Like he would have had it. Didn't he make some guy cry? Was he the one that made some guy
He
cry
made
in
his
practice?
own
Yeah.
draft pick cry. Yes.
Yes.
Manny Wright, I think it was.
Yeah, Manny Wright. Not only that, but I think Geno James was dying in the hallway and he stepped over him. Yeah, I used to go to those practices. Look, man, I've been to Dolphin practices since like way back, since they used to be at St. Thomas. Don Shula was the worst. And when I mean the worst, the best, okay? He used to beat the crap out of those teams. And back then they used to have two-a-days, okay?
Yeah, with full pads.
Nobody knows what the hell a two-a-day is nowadays.
They'll cry
okay?
now if they had that.
Not even high school kids. I talked to a high school football player the other day, and I was telling him, no, because in my day we used to do two-a-days. He looked at me like if I was talking about aliens from Mars or something, right?
He was like, is that a TikTok?
No, you don't understand. We used to have this concept, and they used to do it in the NFL, where you would have a practice at 8:30 in the morning for 2 hours, and then you go work out, go eat, whatever, and then you come back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and have another practice for 2 more hours.
Gosh.
Okay, Jimmy Johnson, Don Shula, Nick Saban, absolute tyrants. Those guys used to run rough training camps.
Man.
And Flores, to be honest with you, Brian Flores kind of does as much as he can with what
that
the
TNT
CBA,
yeah,
what the CBA allows.
I mean, we saw with Urban Myers, he was just, trying to do Oklahoma drills with mini camp. So,
bro, hold on a second though. You remember when what's his name became head coach? Detroit Lions head coach.
Man Campbell.
When Man Campbell came in, and he said, "Let's run some Oklahoma drills," and that team was tough as a mother. And then they go and they beat the shit out of Houston. It was Houston and someone else.
That was
I think it was Tennessee.
The Titans. They beat the crap.
They beat both of them.
You gotta remember what happened. All right. That team was god awful. Okay. That was a bad football team. Then Man Campbell shows up and they beat the piss out of the Texans and the Titans in back-to-back weeks.
I was ready. I was like, this is turning around. This is gonna be it. It's over. And then one coach came in and finessed them.
And then his press conferences, he was like, I think the NFL awoke a sleeping giant. And it was like, holy shit, we're winning a Super Bowl.
We're making it to the playoffs. I swore we were making it to the playoffs. I saw Juice take like a little 8-yard out and take it to the house like a punt return. I'm like, oh, we're in here.
Didn't he come out and say that wasn't true? And he recently said it's a little bit ago as well that never happened, the Oklahoma drill thing.
Really?
Because he's had a couple interviews now where he said that the Oklahoma drills never happened.
Oh, I heard.
Just take the credit, bro. Just relax.
Fine.
And recently, as
he's taking out kneecaps, and what did he say?
Doesn't he own an exotic cat now? Didn't he actually buy an exotic cat, or was that just like he was talking about it?
He wants to buy a lion for the field.
He wanted to have a lion on the field.
Yeah, and have the Dolphins bring back the one from Ace Ventura.
We'll be fine. Like the Browns in their little.
He did say that it was fake, though, recently. He had an interview with Pat McAfee as I'm looking at it.
Before we go on to our next topic, which is going to be 53 miles, the predictions. I want everybody to pick their least favorite head coaching quirk that we've had of the last several bad head coaches. And mine is Philbin's left-handed slow clap after everything. His little
field goals.
Oh, I hate it.
For me, I think it's an easy one, man. It's Cam Cameron's first press conference after the draft. When we drafted
the Ginn family.
Yeah, we drafted the Ginn family, which is, it's
like,
awesome.
I get it. His dad is a good coach. I get it. But like, we're not excited about that with the 9th overall pick, bro. Like, come on. Like, read the room.
We drafted a punt returner, also like Jakeem Grant.
Juan.
So I may be I kind of messed up with this one. I just never really liked the Tony Sperano fist bumps for the field goals. Okay, like, yeah, we're gonna hype up Dan Carpenter. Like, I get it, cool, but like after every time, it was kind of like unbearable at some point. Like,
because we were down. It's because it was like 21-10. We kicked the field goal, and he's like fist pumping down the field. It's like, bro,
what are we doing? Like,
and I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one that I hated. Jimmy Johnson in his press conference used to always say, "We don't want to go back to the candy store." And when he used to say, "No, we don't want to go back to the candy store," he meant that they didn't want to start throwing it all over the place with Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Right. That they wanted to establish a running game. They wanted to be ball control. And he kept saying, we can't go back to the candy store because, that's not how we can win. And I kept thinking to myself, you know what? You have to go back to the candy store. You have to defense. You got to
live over there.
Just hand the offense to Dan Marino and get the hell out of his way. And, and that's it.
Kai, what's your head coaching quirk that pissed you off?
I would have to say, like, any time that the Dolphins won a big game under Adam Gase, and you saw him, like, they put out the video of him on social media, and he's like cheering them on, and you could feel like you're like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. And then the next game he would come out, and the team would be flat, and they would get destroyed. That was probably the biggest thing because they would put it there. Stephen Ross is there. It's like, oh, I'm going to give you the ball. And it was like, oh, this is great. It's like, oh my God, we're on the right path. Literally the next game, 40-0 against the Baltimore Ravens Thursday Night Football. Nice.
I thought you were going to go with Adam Gase's sitting on the bench while the defense.
Oh, that
with his little clipboard. With his little clipboard, right? The defense is out there getting spanked, and he's like, I got to draw up a play that's going to fail on third down. How do I do that?
Bubble screen.
Oh, I guess what the third and 15 runs, the second and
you know
2
what? Adam Gase was a
screens.
horrible coach, and I feel like only a fool would have believed in him, right, Juan?
Horrible, dude. I don't think
right, Juan?
horrible.
Right, Juan? Are your season tickets on me?
I think he got me, and I will never forgive him. And I think he only has his job because of Peyton Manning. So Adam Gase,
because of one.
Hey, but 2000. But I'll say this: in 2016, something happened to him, man. 2016. He was actually fun to be around. Like if you remember the media and you asked him questions,
I think once you start winning and like everybody's laughing and smiling, you're like, oh, he's not that bad. And then you start losing and you're like, oh,
yeah. Well, something clicked with him.
He has that air about him, right? Where he's a dick, right? He's a dick to everybody. And when you're winning, it's like, that's kind of cute, man.
That's
you're
the guy
winning,
I want leading my team.
Right? It's like Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick's an asshole, and everyone's just like,
Bill Belichick stuff will not work.
If like Popovich, like Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich has been an asshole for 4,000 years. In fact, I think he is 4,000 years old. And now when he's like 88 is when people are calling him out on it.
Yep.
Because I don't know if you saw his press conference after they lost to Australia.
Yeah, with that one guy.
All of a sudden, all the beat writers are like, "This guy's kind of an asshole."
And Damian Lillard just sit there kind of.
He was an asshole when he was winning the 5 NBA championships. He just didn't care because he was winning.
Yep.
And because his team was one of the quietest, kindest teams in the NBA. Like Tim Duncan was gonna elbow you in the gut, right, to try to get the rebound, and then he was gonna help you up like a gentleman. It's too bad their coach was a jerk. All right, we wanted to talk about 53-man predictions for the Miami Dolphins. Juan got all excited and went ahead and did it on his own.
I was already ready.
I just finished.
I was just following 3YPC.
You're the kid in class. You're the kid in class that like stands up and is like, "Teacher, you forgot to give us homework today." Okay, that's you, bro.
Yeah, I don't think none of my friends would agree with that statement, but we could say that. I mean, sure, we could. I guess.
All right, you want to go first though? You want to go first? Go ahead.
No, I mean, look, I kind of like the way that 3YPC did it. Each one of them kind of went their turn through the rooms, but I think we decided we were gonna do like a consensus.
I think we should do a consensus so we can
we could start with the quarterback room.
Okay, so I just did that for no reason then.
No, we appreciate you, Kai.
Well done. I didn't do the homework, but I'm gonna skate by on my classmates' effort. 100%.
So as quarterback,
I'll start. Does Tua make the team?
No shot.
You know what? He's like on like the edge fringe roster. I'm not sure yet.
I'm starting.
Hey, by the way, I gotta give credit. I'm gonna start giving out awards to tweets of the week because one guy had a tweet that said Colin Cowherd, Tua's such a bum that he didn't even make the home run derby, and I thought that tweet was gold. It was gold, absolute gold.
I saw that one. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You saw that one, right?
Yeah.
Did you retweet it?
No, I didn't. I didn't think it was
wow. Oh, okay.
I don't like Colin Cowherd.
Calmate, bro.
Nah, bro.
You're never gonna get a job with Fox. Relax.
I'm not even gonna get hired by Bleacher Report at this point. Like I'm just like they're just throwing me alley oops, and it's like I'm like biting back, like not dunking on them. Like it's like insane to me.
I applied to 3 different jobs with Bleacher. I know it's a thing, but you just mentioned it. I applied to 3 different jobs with Bleacher Report for their soccer thing. And like the very next day, they tweeted something about Messi, and I flamed them on Twitter. And I was like, I'm never getting a job here.
Well, it was
like
gave it your best shot.
I'm hoping maybe they'll respect us flaming them, but I know in my heart they're just gonna hold it.
All right, how about we do this though? How about we do this? Between the three, between me, Kai, and Juan, we'll like consensus our room, and then Alfredo, you're gonna judge our room.
All right.
Right. Cool. Most of them I feel like are gonna be pretty easy. For example, QB room, I think we can all agree it's 2.
Yeah. Tua and
Brissett. And Brissett.
Yeah.
And then anybody else practice squad.
Yeah, the roster is actually really, really deep. I don't think you're gonna have a third quarterback in that room. So
No.
Yeah.
Yo, it was really hard to go through this roster. I can't lie.
Yeah.
Well, and we have a bunch of backup quarterbacks at other positions, so we're
Yeah.
probably fine.
Lynn Bowden.
Hey, chill out.
Malcolm
He's a-
Perry,
he's a
who
beast.
I don't know if he's gonna be on my 53.
Wait, are we at running backs? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's do RBs. Let's do RBs. Who's currently? Do we have like the full?
Wait, first, are we saying 4 or 5 are gonna make it?
I put 4 down.
I'm saying
I'm up
4.
to 4. Yeah,
I'm saying
I agree
4.
with 4. I think 5's too many with how many injuries you face at wide receiver and other places.
So, and here's the tricky thing too. Malcolm Perry could flip flop between both if he makes the team, and I know that's kind of something through IPC kind of touched out on too, and I kind of like that idea. But for running backs, let's just say 4, right?
Okay, so number 1 running back.
Miles
Is-
Gaskin.
Miles.
Nice. No S at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, no gaskets. It sounds like you're saying gaskets like on a car when you say
Yeah,
gasket.
yeah, like your blue gasket. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Miles Gaskin, number 1. Number
Yeah.
2, Malcolm Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
guess.
Number 3,
Savon
Savon.
Ahmed.
Savon.
Ahmed.
And then
Yeah.
4th, Jared Dukes.
I'm going Dokes. I'm gonna say that
what I
Scarlett
put.
won't make the team, but I won't be surprised if he does.
what are the other options though? The other options are Scarlett, Laird,
Laird.
Scarlett Laird.
and then
that's it.
Perry if I have him my running back.
you got to
Yeah.
understand, Scarlett and Laird, I don't believe are.
Practice squad
Prac-
eligible.
Yeah, they're not practice squad eligible. Savon Ahmed is, but if you expose him, this
I
happens
think
all the
he's gone.
time.
I think he's gone.
Didn't he have
He'll
2
get taken.
100-yard games last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure gone.
He
Broke our
will
first
he will
100
get plucked immediately
Yeah.
by a team.
And I think
Honestly, I was reluctant to.
So
at
he
least-
either makes the team
that's
or he
not a
doesn't.
depth
Yeah.
chart, but I feel like Savon Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, if it was a depth chart, I could very easily see them switching.
I think
for
Scarlett
sure.
is still eligible for practice squad.
But the
Well,
thing is, Dokes is also eligible for practice squad too.
Yeah,
But
'cause he's
my
a 7th round
thinking,
pick.
correct.
Yeah,
My
but-
thinking is usually when you take a guy in the 7th, it's because you kind of don't want to go into a bidding war as far as an undrafted free agent. So
And
they
you don't want to
might,
guarantee. Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
guarantee part of the contract because usually that's what they use.
yeah, signing more.
By taking him in the 7th round, they're kind of like signaling, "Hey, man, we'll cut this guy."
Yep.
You know.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'll go with Dokes too. I feel about Laird a little bit though. I mean, I'm being outvoted
That's
here
right.
anyways. But my thing with Laird is Laird works at times. Like there's moments he gets in there and he does his stuff.
Lewis Song argument.
I was gonna say, I hope Lewis
You're
is seeing
going
this.
Lewis.
Time out. If it was up to me, we would have an actual running back in that room, and we wouldn't be talking about 3rd and 4th running back, right?
Oh,
but
yeah,
here
we'd
we
have
are.
We'd have
fair.
your
They
boy
can
in
all-
Pittsburgh with
fair.
Kylie.
Yeah, they can
That's
all be
fair.
number 1 running back at any time.
I'm
Because
gonna
we
hit up
just got a
Kylie to get you an
hodgepodge.
autograph, bro.
Bro, listen, I would cry, bro.
I feel like Kylie would get fired for that.
I just want a picture of. I just want a close up picture of his thigh signed by him. That's what I want. But like, I think we have to think about Laird. I will agree with you guys. I think it's going to end up being Dokes, but I think Laird has a really good shot to make it.
Mm.
So those are the 4 running backs. Alfredo, is that what you guys ended up having?
yeah, that's about right.
I think CK had Scarlett though. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think he had Scarlett at the end of that room.
Florida
So
Gator.
you know,
Cut him.
Patrick Laird is a guy who's never done anything wrong until he fumbled toward the end of the year last year. So, you know, he's a guy who's, you know, they're going to like, and he plays special teams.
Yep.
Right.
But this is interesting. We also said this on our podcast. Jared Dokes, extremely high snap count on special teams at Cincinnati.
Mm. I did
So
not know
keep that in mind. So,
Interesting.
and you got to remember once they get into camp, they're going to want guys that are going to play in special teams. Some
Yep.
guys just can't.
Yep.
You know, and those are special skill sets. You got to be able to hit people
Yep.
while they're moving and
Yep.
in space. Some guys, it's not as easy as saying, "Look, you're the 4th tight end. Okay, go out and play special teams." No, he could literally be terrible at it,
Yep.
and then you
If-
can't return anything against anybody, and then you
Hard-
can't cover any kicks.
Hard Knocks taught me a lot about football. I feel
So
like
that
the emphasis on special teams that
Yeah.
the actual teams themselves put on it is
Mhm.
something I didn't realize until that. The way they told some of these guys, you can catch the ball great, but if you don't play special teams, you're
You
not going to
gone.
make this team.
You gone.
Yeah.
You're not going to make this team.
Yeah.
Right? An entire session just working on that.
So Jared Dokes,
That's wild.
Jared Dokes. So I think Jared Dokes and Patrick Laird. I would say that this kind of hurts Laird. Jared Dokes has that in his back pocket. He can make the team as a special teamer
That's interesting.
and running
Okay.
back.
So we're up to 6 so far. right? 53-man roster, we're up
Yeah.
to 6. Okay,
Yeah.
so next room we're going wide receiver or O-line?
Wide receiver.
Oh yeah, wide receiver.
Okay.
I'm going 7.
I have 7 as well.
I will say 7 because I'm already outvoted because it's 2-3, but sure. All right. So
Wait,
Parker,
who is your? I want to know who's like the last one because I feel like we all know.
Perry.
Like
no,
some of the
well, we
obvious
gotta
ones.
run
Who's
through.
your,
We gotta run
okay.
through them though, because that we
All right.
it's Parker,
Fuller, DVP, Waddle,
Fuller,
guaranteed.
Okay, so I already said Parker, and then you went and said him again. DVP.
I
Now
like
I'm
to say my
confused.
nicknames.
Okay, so DVP, Waddle, Fuller, Preston Williams.
I would put Bowden before Preston.
Boy, you stupid.
I feel like
Being honest.
I feel like Williams is going to be kind of that one though.
I'm he's on my projected roster, but I would not be surprised if they cut him based off somebody else performing
Injuries.
better.
Oh,
Let me ask you guys something. I'm pretty sure all three of you agree that the starters are DVP, Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, right? Who's
Yep.
wide receiver 4 on this team?
I guess
Man,
that's
I got
the
my
battle
answer.
between Preston and Lynn
Because he's
Bowden,
going to play
right?
a lot. Whoever's wide receiver 4, first of all, he's going to start week 1. And second of all, he's going to play a lot. So who's wide receiver 4?
I got an answer that I don't think is too popular, but I
You're
mean, it
gonna
was
say
for a little
Albert-
bit.
You're going to say Albert Wilson, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
I'm sticking to the belief that if Albert and Bowden are even like neck and neck close, they'll go with the younger player and cheaper player.
Agreed.
I for me, it's gonna have to be where Albert is like just like wow, like you know, you
I
can't
agree
get
if they're
rid of that
close.
guy.
I just don't think they're gonna be close.
I'll push back because I feel like Bowden is the type of player where and I've described it kind of like this, like in high school there's always that one guy who
Plays
is so
everything.
athletic and he plays everything. He plays your corner, he plays your quarterback, he plays your running back, your receiver, any position that you need, go out there, make a play. That's Bowden. I could see him progressing and I could see him showing signs of like last year making the first guy miss to where even now, like our wide receiver room, if we're being honest, is very injury prone individually. What we're hoping for is that they're not going to all be injured at the same time. But if I'm talking about health wise, I think Bowden would be the most healthy body that I could point out from even the first 4 guys. I mean, the first 4 guys to me would be Fuller, DVP, Waddle, which each has their own injury history.
I'd put Waddle. I mean, Waddle was the one ankle, right? This past season. Did he get hurt before that in college?
Not
I don't think he
really. I
did.
think he had like little nagging things. I don't think.
Which
he
is
had
where
anything big.
I wouldn't call him. I wouldn't put him on the same level as the rest of them, right? Because Fuller is multiple seasons. He had to sit out.
No,
Parker's multiple
he
seasons.
He played 11
Williams.
games last
No, he
season.
did put Williams as multiple seasons. Like Fuller. I mean,
Albert
not Fuller.
Wilson too.
Waddle, I put a little bit separate personally. My thing
We'll
is,
get to that.
I agree with your take about LBJ. Albert Wilson, I think, is a better version of Lynn Bowden, but the injury history I will give you. Sure, if they're uncomfortable with it, I get it. But Albert Wilson is a better version of Lynn Bowden for sure.
At their peak, we've seen in the NFL. Yeah, I just haven't. I personally haven't seen Albert's peak.
I'm keeping both,
2
by the
years.
way. I just think I just have Albert Wilson as my 4.
Oh.
You're keeping both?
Yeah.
Really?
See, my thinking, and I guess I'll just say my whole list. I'm going Fuller, DVP, Waddle, Bowden, Preston, Foster instead of Mac, and Perry.
Nah, you see, I keep Albert Wilson before I keep Malcolm Perry. I think you can put Malcolm Perry on the practice squad and he's not gonna get poached.
My thing with Perry is that in the event that Gaskin gets hurt, Ahmed gets hurt, which they've shown, Brown maybe flops the way that I'm thinking worst case scenario, Brown flops the same way that Jordan Howard did last year. You could potentially still leave him on the fringe of the roster as like a potential candidate for special teams, for being a punt returner, being a kick returner, being a running back, a quarterback, even like he'll give you that position flexibility, in my opinion.
We just did our latest 3-wipe just dropped like 2.5 hours ago, and in it, I was saying, you know what? Can we sneak Malcolm Perry through the practice squad? And Simon has a pretty good instinct for these things, and he said he'll be a New England Patriot within like 5 minutes.
Well, okay,
Hours,
sure.
yeah.
I would agree with
He's-
that.
He's versatile. He does everything. He does a little bit of everything.
And he's an Army guy or whatever he was. I mean,
Navy.
Bill
Yeah.
Belichick loves
Navy.
those dudes. So
Yeah, Navy.
Navy,
So-
sorry.
My thing is, I'd be more willing to put him because Lynn Bowden Jr. for sure would be gone if you tried to put him on practice squad.
Oh no, that's not a consideration.
Like that's not a
he was
thought.
a second round pick,
Like
so.
he's gone, right? So who else would we? Robert Foster. So I mean, at this point, what we're talking about is Albert Wilson, keep or cut, right? Because that's our debate. It's Malcolm Perry, Albert Wilson.
Well, I'm not. I guess, but also, I mean, has Robert, and maybe it's just that I haven't seen. Has Robert Foster played a lot of special teams?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a good.
He's played
player.
He's played NFL special teams with Washington, right?
That's the two things that.
His rookie season was with the Bills, and he was really good as a rookie. And then he just fell off the face of the earth. Yeah. You got to remember, he's also an Alabama guy, so
he has that connection with.
That's the thing. For me, I think it's just between
and Waddle,
Matt Collins,
and he burns. Robert Foster is fast.
Wait, but then you're cutting Albert Wilson.
I would cut Albert Wilson.
I have the same six as I have the same six as him, and then it's just that it's either Matt Collins or Robert Foster for me. Like those are the only two.
But didn't Vaughn cut Wilson?
No, I have the same six as him. I have DVP, Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, Preston, Bowden, and Perry, and then it's just between Robert Foster and Matt Collins.
He doesn't have Albert Wilson.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right, that's what I'm saying. So Albert Wilson's out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
let me ask you guys something. Preston Williams, doesn't it scream to you that he's probably a trade candidate?
But that's the other thing. Is that
I say no. My only reason I say no is because let's say Devontae goes down, and if is like more of like when.
Yep.
I don't see anybody else who could probably fill that slot that you want Devontae to fill as far as like a big body target. You could get
Robert Foster, maybe.
You could do that as well. You could do Matt Collins if he sticks around. You could even do Gesicki if you really want to get, cute with it. But as far as like is Devontae going down, I think Preston would just be the natural, slide him in.
And by the way, I think that 19 has trade value because he returns kicks and punts for touchdowns. Simon says conditional 7th is what you can get for Jakeem before it's over. What do you guys think? What can you get for Jakeem?
I think you can trick somebody into a 6th. I think you can trick somebody into a 6th, honestly. And maybe even make it a package with some other stuff where like Jakeem's the sweetener on the deal. Right? They don't feel confident with their special teams. I don't know if I'd do it for a 7th because I think they're going to cut him. So you'd rather get a 7th round pick than nothing, but
I don't know. I mean, I would have to look at compensatory picks and see how like it would play out as far as how many snaps he played, because obviously he got more snaps than he probably should have towards the end of the season. Maybe it makes more sense just to flat out cut him. I would have to double check on that.
Oh, that's right. It would play into the formula.
I don't know though if anybody would want to give up a 7th rounder when you ideally if you're having the conversation with another team, it's because you're going to end up cutting him.
I just think you guys really discount his special teams value, and by you guys I mean
I
don't discount it. I just don't think that like. Look, I think it's honest, and I think there's a lot of things that was said during the press conferences that they had after drafting certain players this year. I believe it was Jalen Waddle and Javon Holland are the ones that they kind of specified very heavily.
Yeah.
Look, I understand.
Jalen Waddle is not touching special teams, man.
I disagree 100%.
I understand how you feel.
I would use them.
Just showed you how they feel.
I would use them the same way.
I understand that's how they feel, but I'm not having him back there returning punts.
You have other candidates too to do it full time. You could do Lim.
No, I know. Fine, that's fine. That's all I'm talking about. I'm talking about Waddle.
I know, but Waddle
that can get really,
So look, Mike, Waddle is going to be that weapon where you need to get him the ball in his hands no matter what.
And I need him for the offense to work.
I
need him for the offense to work.
I would say with Bowden as far as Waddle as far as special teams, I would use them in the same capacity that Ed Reed used to be used in as far as like a punt return, where it's like.
And that was a different time in the NFL too, though.
Yeah, Michael, but you're thinking
like crazy at that time. Are you kidding?
Yeah, exactly. Kai's right. Michael, you're thinking
in the middle of the field.
You're thinking about the NFL like 5 years ago, where they would actually kick to these guys.
Crackbacks, no double teams.
They won't kick to Waddle. Look what happened last year with Jakeem. Jakeem returned that kick against the Rams. For the rest of the year, what did they do? Diagonal kicks, kicked away from him.
But then what was it? Was it the Bengals that knocked them out twice?
Yeah.
Right.
He also
Mhm.
dropped a wide open touchdown in the Bengals
Oh.
game, but that's
Sure, that's what we're bringing
Just
up,
wanna
right?
add.
Because that's what we're talking about. No, it was the Bengals that knocked him out twice. No, knocked him out
Yeah.
and then knocked somebody else, or was it Jakeem twice?
It was always Jakeem.
it was
It was
no, I
Jakeem
think
twice.
it's-
Uncle Parker had to come out and
It was
play.
right. It was Jakeem twice.
Yeah,
Right?
but he was calling for
Sure, right. It was
Yeah.
a disgusting play on their part, right? It's totally unnecessary. I'm not taking a chance on the first round pick that, in my opinion, is one of your only options of speed
I
if
get it.
Fuller goes down, right? Last
yeah.
year we had nothing in terms of speed. Not that could catch the ball.
Mm.
So what we're gonna wait? We're gonna wait for Fuller to go down, and then we're gonna pull him off the special teams.
No, I get what you're
I'm-
saying. Like,
mm-mm.
I just, for me, it's like, at some point they're football players. Like they gotta play football.
But that's what I like about Jakeem, right? And this is gonna sound bad. That's what I like about Jakeem. Jakeem goes out there and gets hurt on a punt or kickoff. The offense moves. I'm gonna be honest. The offense moves on.
Yeah.
I'm
No, I
not
get
so
it.
sure
I
with
get it.
Jalen, especially when you drafted Jalen to be the one slot guy, because nobody else can really play slot on this team. Especially if, like you guys, they cut Albert Wilson. So
well, we know
that's
that
why
Jakeem
for me,
can't play slot either. So can't catch.
I don't understand where
Can't
you.
catch,
I don't
can't
want.
catch.
I don't have him on my roster, bro. Like you don't
No,
have
I
to
know.
keep coming
I'm
up with
just-
this. So we
I
had
just like to
seven.
add
We
that.
had
I had
seven.
seven.
The question was Robert Foster or Matt Collins was the last one.
I'm
Kai?
going Foster.
I'd go Foster too.
I think look, it's a toss up for me. I don't really care which either one.
All right.
Like I think at that point you're just keeping them either for if they have to play and then special teams. Like that's literally the
Right.
only reason.
Grade us, Alfredo.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's pretty much exactly what we had. The only thing that we had is that me and CK didn't have Albert Wilson. We're coming around to maybe we're
Oh, we don't
wrong.
either.
You don't, right? You
No,
don't
we
have
don't,
Albert
no.
Wilson.
I don't.
We're coming around to the fact that maybe he might make it because he's getting a lot of hype.
He is.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you guys put it together well, but I think Albert Wilson is going to make the
I
team.
think he deserves that though because in all honesty,
He has a shot.
we
He
saw-
deserves a shot for sure.
He started to really kind of come into his own a little bit back to his self that we saw during
The high
look,
five
I
alone.
think
The
that's-
high five alone.
I
I'm
think that's
keeping him.
one thing that you can
If
give.
him and
kind
Waddle
of
can high
Adam
five,
Gase
I'm
credit
down.
for. Because Adam did kind of, I mean, we saw a little bit of what Albert Wilson could do when he was with Kansas City, right? But it was like, okay, he's coming on. This is kind of a cheap deal. It's team friendly. If he can do something that's cool, like Adam Gase did kind of get the best out of Albert Wilson in that offense, and he was showing it was like, okay, this could be kind of a steal. And then we saw a little bit of that when he was coming back from his hip injury, and
Bro, that Raiders game was
So-
phenomenal.
Piggybacking off what you said, Alfredo, let me ask you because from what I've seen, we like to slow play rookies, especially early on. Like we don't give them a full plate. We give them maybe one or two things to master. Once they master that, they'll move on to other things to get their plate fuller. Do you think there's a scenario where they'll keep Wilson to kind of slow play Waddle into the offense?
No, I think if he comes in, it's to play. I think he starts week 1, and then he's wide receiver 4, which means he'll play a lot. He'll play 20 snaps a game, and I think Waddle is here to play.
Mhm.
Everything we've read and everything we've heard, and that I've asked the people that know, they've been enamored with this guy for 3 years.
Yep.
So, like, they identified this is the best of the Alabama wide receivers, and we want him.
And I saw CK say it. I don't know if it was on Twitter or somewhere else, but him talk about some people say, oh, it's lucky that the Dolphins that Waddle fell to the Dolphins after Chase was gone or whatever it is, and he was saying like, no, Waddle was their number one guy the entire time.
It was going to happen.
They
It was
wanted.
going to happen.
I think if Chase and Waddle were both there, they'd probably still take Waddle.
I should have stuck with my stuff, man. I was calling Waddle
You were.
3 months before the draft, and y'all kept telling me I was crazy. Oh, Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase.
Well, you were also
Man,
calling
Kyle Pitts is
Najee.
gonna
You were
be an
also
all-pro
calling
in the
for
future.
Najee.
I
So
stand
let's
by
do
that.
that.
Would have been a great pick. I stand by
We'll
it.
see. We'll see
When
before the year's up.
when he does great in Pittsburgh with an offensive line that looks like the four of
Wow,
us,
you're so
okay.
full of it.
you'll see.
I think David DeCastro just retired. I think it was. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how much fun he has in Big Ben's last final go round.
You mean
When they
noodle
go and
arm?
have a losing
That boy's gonna
season.
need a new body after this season.
All right, are we
on
on to offensive line? I feel like offensive line is fairly easy.
tight end? Actually, no,
Yes.
tight end.
Oh,
needs to be
tight end,
good.
and then we also have to.
I'm
'Cause they're-
keeping 4
So-
T's.
I keep him 4, and the interesting thing to me was last year they kept only 3. So I kind of went back and saw what they were kind of going with. But this year I think they're gonna keep 4. I think Gesicki's obviously there. I think Long is obviously there. I think for me, Shaheen sticks around. I think he signed a deal recently too.
Yeah, an
Mhm.
extension, yeah.
And my fourth one was Ethan Carter, just because I think CK's been pretty adamant about it. That contract that they signed into is not really a contract that you kind of think that's going to get cut or kind of get released. It's something that's probably going to.
Wait a
He's
minute,
a little bit of
wait.
a hybrid too, right? He's kind of like a fullback.
He
Yeah.
described them as Aaron Hernandez, and I have been kind of interested in that comparison.
Who'd you cut?
Did
Did you cut Smythe?
Yeah.
You cut Smythe?
Yeah, Smythe and Blunt.
Ooh. But
Blunt.
that's Kasicki's best friend,
What?
homie. Like, best friend.
No, yeah, they came in together. I mean, it was always going to be an either or. And
I would actually keep Ethan like in my back pocket as a potential fifth running back for like fullback and special teams kind of guy. Because he was fullback, tight end, special teams.
he was like
Like
a
when they
Charles
signed him?
Clay kind of
Yeah.
role, if you
Yeah.
want to think about it like that.
Charles Clay.
Clay.
Charles
That's a
Clay.
perfect
Charles Clay
example.
is a really, really good. Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
So my vote is Smythe over Ethan, and keeps Ethan like right at the top of my list for maybe making it somewhere else. Kai, you're the tiebreaker.
I literally have all five of them, but I have Ethan and like as kind of that hybrid thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
I literally have Mike, Hunter, Adam, Smythe, and then Ethan still on the roster.
Okay,
So
cool.
you guys both have 5 tight ends, right?
Basically,
Okay.
Yeah.
for now, I have it for now. I need to do the math till I get to the end.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they cut Durham Smythe though.
Yeah,
Like that's the one. Like if they cut Durham, I'd be more shocked of all of it if it's Adam Shaheen, especially considering the extension. And I think he did get a lot of like play last year.
he
I
was
know it's
great
not,
at
like, the
catching
big
that
numbers,
2-yard pass.
Amazing
but
at
you
it.
know they went to him a
Straight
lot
out.
for that. Though.
2 yards
I know,
and
like,
then
it's a
they caught it
joke, but they did go
2
after
yards
him
and
a lot
straight
with
down.
that.
Offensive line, how many are we keeping?
I have 9.
Dude, this was so hard. This was so
Really?
hard to do.
I mean, you could go. I think most of 3YPC went 10. I
Yo,
think
I
it was.
also have 9.
No, we went 8. We went 8 because
I was about to say 8.
remember you don't need more than 8. Like 8 is good for game day,
Yeah,
and then what you got to do is
tackle.
And then what you're gonna do is like, the 9th guy is gonna be a practice squad guy that you're gonna churn
Mhm.
all season long. All season long, you're gonna be looking for the 9th and the 10th guy,
Michael
and-
Dieter.
and there could be a free agent in there too. So
So
That's
okay,
why I put that down actually. Under center, I put like 0-0 free agent.
Well, you
Like,
guys don't
this
think
is,
Tom Cameron with 2 first names can handle it?
no,
so wait. Austin Jackson,
Liam Eichenberg,
Solomon Kinley, Liam
Yeah.
Eichenberg, Robert Hunt, Skura.
Jesse Davis,
Mm-hmm.
DJ Fluker. I'm assuming.
Sure.
And then Michael Dieter,
What are the options?
And
It's
then-
Michael Dieter.
Larnell Coleman, the 7th round pick, Jermaine.
Ifedi.
I have no idea. No. I have no.
or
he's
Adam
like-
Pancake Panky.
Yeah, Adam Pankey, and
You
then
do
Robert
Duval,
Jones.
Cueros, Neto.
Yeah, no, I'm doing
Robert
the
Jones.
Aren't they transitioning him into being a defensive lineman? Like, isn't
I have
that
no
what he's
idea.
doing
His
right
name
now?
was
Dude,
really
their
hard.
balls
I don't
don't
know.
matter.
Lineman,
The ball's never
transition.
gonna play.
He's
He's
a
a-
28-year-old rookie. Wow.
He's a Brazilian.
No, he's Brazilian. He came
guy,
over the
yeah.
international thing. I'm going with 8. I'm with Alfredo. I go 8.
So I had Jackson Davis, Skura, Hunt, Eichenberg, Dieter, Kinley, Fluker, and then Robert Jones because I know they paid him a lot of money.
Nah, I go 8. Kai, 8 or 9.
No, Tennessee State. I mean, I have 9, but I preferred to have 8. Like I was in the process of
Right.
cutting
So then
down
you're
to 8.
picking. You're picking.
Yeah.
So you're saying 8.
Yeah.
You're gone, Juan. Loser.
Out of here.
All right,
Like,
we're
I
up
was
to
literally in
25.
the process of cutting people.
Are
out.
we done with offense?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
going D-line.
D line. Oh,
Well, before you
D-line
do
is-
that, you got to have your specialists, your punter, your long snapper, your kicker. Remember those 3.
Oh,
Those
I
are
gotta
Kai's
keep.
specialties.
Pilardi, Ferguson, and Sanders.
I gotta
Yeah,
keep
that's
2
it.
kickers.
The leg.
Chad Ochocinco, I'm signing as my backup
Facts.
kicker.
He could be
Bro,
a corner.
I
He
would
could be
love
your
it. I would love it.
quarterback.
That boy still looks like he can do stuff too. He looks
He
like
can
he can still play.
box at this point.
So we
too,
got
I think.
another 3 for special teams.
I'm interested to see what Pilardi's gonna do. I know that special teams really isn't that interesting, but I'm really interested to see what
My
Pilardi's
hope is
gonna
that
do.
Pilardi never has to play.
Okay, I mean,
My
that's not
hope
gonna
is
happen,
Jason
but-
Sanders never has to kick a field goal. So I
Bro,
don't know.
extra points though, homie.
I don't hope that. You want to keep him.
I said
warm.
field goals. Field goals
I'd
are not
rather take a
extra
field goal than a punt though.
I I'm just really interested to see what
Our
Pollard does.
kicker led the league in fantasy points, and I just learned that, and I'm kind of like, I feel kind of weird about it because I know it's because
That's dope, though. We got a good kicker.
But we also
got a good
didn't put-
kicker. But we got a good kicker.
Arguably the
We
best.
got a good kicker. Right? All right, we're up to 28. Defensive line. I feel like defensive line is going to be the tough one. Are we going to
This guy
divide this?
drafted him an
Are we
all-pro,
gonna
man.
are we gonna divide this interior and exterior, or are we gonna do just one?
I just did D line. Because for
Okay.
me,
So
exterior.
then you got to keep like 9.
No, I went 60 linemen.
You want 6 D linemen?
I went 60 linemen, 8 linebackers, and 10 DBs.
Oh, because you do safety and corner together.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4.
6, 8, 10. What is
Yeah.
that?
that's
6 plus
22.
14.
24.
What?
How many
24.
linebackers you said you have?
I put you at
8.
52. You're down. Oh, I see.
No, because I had
'Cause
4
you had
tight
9.
ends and
You had
9
Yeah,
offensive linemen.
yeah. Okay. All right. So 6 D linemen. 60 linemen. Okay. Raekwon is the key.
Yeah, Raekwon, Wilkins,
Jalen
Ogba.
Wilkins. Ogba.
Jalen's a linebacker.
I thought Jalen was listed as defensive lineman.
He's listed as a linebacker.
Yeah, he's playing linebacker.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips and Andrew Van Ginkel, they're the way that they're designated like weak side linebacker or strong side linebacker.
Well, it's because everybody in the draft kept calling him the best edge, and so when I think edge, I'm thinking defensive edge. I'm thinking Cam Wake.
Yeah, on the Dolphins, they call it although he's going to play some 5-tech, they call it their 7 spot. So
Okay.
As of right now, they got 3 7s, which is Van Ginkel, Beagle, Jalen Phillips.
Okay, so then defensive line is Raekwon, Wilkins,
Ogba,
Sealer,
Adam Butler, and
Adam
John
Butler.
Jenkins.
Yeah, I don't think we're cutting anybody that I can even think of, honestly.
So you think Strobridge is just out? That's it for him, essentially.
They've liked them. I think they've kept them around the roster. I think the last 2 seasons. I think it is right.
Well, he was drafted last year, so now.
Yeah, and he played a little bit toward the end of the year last year.
So they seem to have kept them like not necessarily like as a priority, but they liked what they saw. I just don't see kind of like, and 3YPC has done a really good job breaking it down. Like last year, we kind of became like there wasn't too many snaps to go around past Devon Gottschall going down. It was a lot of just Sealer, Wilkins, and Raekwon. Adam Butler is a young player, so you're bringing him in, and you're probably selling him on getting a good amount of snaps as well. And then you look at John Jenkins, and he's a veteran. Like I think he's literally the oldest player in the team.
And he's a backup 0, which you might even need. I will give a long look to 2 guys, because remember, this year's going to be a lot different than last year. We have 3 preseason games to actually watch guys play.
I'm going to the one here.
Jonathan Ledbetter and Tyson Render have always looked good in camp. They've looked like NFL players before.
Yep.
So maybe they get a shot. So I think those guys are outside shot guys. Benito Jones last year when he played, he didn't really stand out to me.
No love for Jason Strobridge. I'm just kidding.
I have Ledbetter on here because I just feel like that's one of the. I feel like when there's always that crazy kind of thing that happens every single year where it's like, oh, this person makes a roster of this person. I guess it's not really technically crazy, but then you look at it and you're just like, it's like a little bit of a, oh, okay. Like that's kind of the one that I had on there, which is like Ledbetter is the one that's kind of like a maybe. It just seems like that's someone.
And let me say one thing. Zach Sealer, before we move on, Sealer might be the best player that nobody's ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ask 30,
He's in the house now, so I'm happy.
You ask 31 random NFL fans who's Zach Sealer, they'll be like, who? He's legitimately a star. Like if you watch him on film, he kicks ass every single week. And hey, pat on the back to our
the first time he was on the team, 2 years ago? It was at the end of 2 seasons ago. He came on and it was just like pop.
The Ravens made the mistake of trying to sneak him onto the practice squad, and we jumped right on it. And
that's my favorite. I love that. That reminds me of, listen, I know this is totally outside, but that reminds me of you remember Dan Ugla for the Marlins, right? Wasn't that a Rule 6 draft pick or something like that? I love when you steal that player that everyone's like, nah, forget him. And then he just blows up and does his thing.
He was here.
Hey, and a pat on the back to our front office, man. They got him on the cheap for the next 3 years.
Yep.
Okay, so that's another guy in about a year that he's going to be asking for $10 million a year.
Well, I mean, he's why would he be asking for that? He said he's happy in his trailer home.
No, he has a house now. He has responsibilities.
Oh, he bought a house now?
He did.
All right, linebackers. They currently have 11. You said 8.
Yes, at 8.
Okay, so Jerome Baker, stay.
Yeah,
I
McKinney,
have 8 as well.
AVG, Phillips, Riley, because he's dating Yes Jules, Vince Beagle, Roberts, and I also have Scarlett sticking around. And I know the 3YPC had Beagle or Scarlett, but as I was building the roster in total, I couldn't leave him out for anybody else. I just didn't feel the worth was there.
So no love for Iguavan?
I have Vince Beagle.
Mm-mm.
I
You
think
guys think
Vince.
Sam's done?
I just think McKinney, if everything works out, it should push him back because I think Sam was Roberts' backup, but now if Roberts ends up becoming Sam, then McKinney's gonna end up taking Roberts' spot, and now it's like
I'm cutting Duke Riley and I'm keeping Beagle. What's wrong with
you're
you?
tripping, bro. Duke Riley's
Look. I'll make a prediction right now.
Hold that.
You want to hear a prediction?
Wait,
He's
give me
played
an
a lot of
actual
snaps.
football statement because what he gave me was trash.
I'll give you a football statement. Week 1, when they play the Patriots and the guys and our captains go out there for the coin
Duke's
toss,
gonna be one of them.
Duke Riley will be one of the captains.
Special teams
that goes
captain?
up. Yes,
Bro,
special teams captain.
and not just that. I'll never pronounce his name right. Kamoy Gruger Hill
Yeah,
played a lot more snaps than I even noticed. But
Okay,
watching it
I
around
thought he played
again,
great. I loved Camus.
he was.
Kama Grugier Hill is a good player.
He's a good player for what they ask of him. But
And
No,
they kind
Camus
of got
was
his
good.
clone.
Chill.
They kind of got his clone, and Duke Riley actually replaced Kama Grugier Hill in Philadelphia.
oh, did
Wait,
he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then we went and we got Duke Riley. So
Wait, did
Second
Camus
Duke
go
Riley.
back to Philadelphia?
so whoever. No, I don't know where Kama Grugier Hill is now.
Okay.
Because-
But Kama
then it's
Grugier
like-
Hill was in Philadelphia.
That's hilarious.
They replaced him with Duke Riley. They get rid of Duke Riley. We keep taking that same spot in Philadelphia. So,
Ever
so
since
you got to
Pico.
watch Philadelphia's roster, and next
He's
year
with the
our
Houston
special teams
Texans.
guys
The
is going to
next-
come from there.
He's with the
That's
Texans.
hilarious.
He's with the Houston
Oh,
Texans.
poor guy.
right now.
I liked him. He was our Hawaii bro.
Yeah,
Like,
he was
Listen,
to his
Miami
like
had
brother.
Ohana means family, then they took it down off their
and then that
their
meant
Twitter.
that they were trading.
Oh
to
yeah,
him.
que
so they're
triste,
trading
man.
to just saying.
Que triste. All right,
Twitter detectives, bro.
defensive backs.
So I had 10. I don't know. How
Let's
many
break
you
it.
had.
Let's break it up. Let's break it up between.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So they have
I
4
10 as
safeties.
well.
How many of those are you keeping?
By the way, guys, if nobody has 10, your list is invalid because Brian Flores always keeps 10, no matter what, and sometimes he keeps 11. So.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
if he
that.
could, he would have 47.
And they will always draft
Bro,
at least
listen,
one or two DBs.
He's gonna
every
have
year,
a
no matter what.
50-man roster of just defensive backs, and the other 3 are going to be quarterback, kicker, and punter. Not even long snapper.
You think
He's
he does
gonna
that
have
on
somebody.
Madden?
Yeah,
Like, he tells
probably.
his kids playing Madden on like his PS5 or something. He's like, "Listen, man, if you don't have 50 defensive backs, you're sleeping on the couch.
You're
tonight,
sleeping
man.
on the
You're
importance
real."
of defense.
He
has a bunch of-
drafted Javon Holland, and the first thing he told him was, "Look, I'm gonna be on your ass because I'm a safeties coach at heart. Take that for what you want." The guy loves his DBs.
Oh, but don't ask him if he's a defensive coach. All right.
Michael.
I'm just saying. All right. There's 4 safeties right now. Five. Brian Cole, Clayton Fudge, Nate
Fedgelum.
Hawley, Fedge,
Fedgelum.
Fedge, Nate
Fedgelum.
Hawley, Brandon Jones, Eric Rowe.
I think
Oh.
it's
Where do
they have
Rowe,
Javon
Fedgelum,
Holland? Do they have Holland as a DB?
No, I
No,
think
on the
Holland
Dolphins
is-
website, they have Holland
goes
listed as
on-
DB.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
So-
we think it's gonna be Rowe, Fedgelum, Holland, and Jones, right? Like that's
Yo, wait a minute. Where's Holland? I don't see him here on the Dolphins website.
They dropped them at the bottom. I think they have him unsigned.
Oh, yeah, unsigned
Yeah,
draft
I think
pick.
it's-
Lol. Okay, so
So-
6.
I don't really know how to break it down. Like for sure, I have Brandon Jones, Eric Rowe for Jetalum. I have Holland. But McCourty could be safety corner. He
Okay.
could be flip flopping
Fair.
back around the whole year.
Wait, so you're
Wow.
keeping 5 cornerbacks in?
I'm keeping
6.
X, Noah, Byron, McCourty, Coleman. Then I go into safeties with Holland, Brandon Jones, Eric Rowe for Jetalum. And then I have Needham as my 53rd right now, as my 53rd player. As my
we
10th
have
DB.
the exact identical list, literally.
Yeah,
So-
I wanted to, because for me it was okay. Coleman's gonna take the slot from Needham, But then as I was going around to filling out the whole roster, I couldn't put anybody else over Needham as far as like the 53rd or
I
52nd
think
player.
Nick stays. That was gonna be the thing. Like if you didn't say Nick Needham, I was gonna be like, that would have been the only thing I disagreed with you. I just think that Nick stays.
I think
I
he's
mean,
also
we're not cutting
Even though his mom
anybody.
blocked me on Twitter. You know,
We're not cutting anybody noteworthy, really. I mean,
I
the
don't
most
think so.
noteworthy name that might be getting cut is Jamal Perry, just because he played.
Yeah, but
I've never been a
you
fan
know.
of Perry.
You guys
That's
don't think
okay.
that it's a loser leave town match between Nick Needham and Justin Coleman?
I thought that initially too, and that's why I literally
We were
have
talking about that ever
Needham
since they
as
signed
my
Coleman.
53rd
Yeah.
because I'm like, I looking at the whole roster, I just there was maybe like 3 or 4 players that I was considering as that 53rd or that 52nd, and Needham there just to me seemed like the best of the bunch to where it's like, okay, well, let's just leave him there on the roster, and if worse comes to worse, and we see 2 or 3 guys that we kind of like out there, we'll cut him or whatever.
I
And
just feel like
Coleman
Flo
has
likes
played
him.
some outside, right?
Yeah, but you ideally want to leave him in
Right,
the slot, yeah.
right.
Do
But
you-
you could.
Do you think that this could be a case scenario? And I guess Alf bringing that up is the perfect thing. Where, and again, you're saying initial 53, that means you're making it that day. But as we all know, there are guys where you look at and you're like, wow, they made the roster. And then a day later, 2 days later,
Yep.
boom, cut.
Yeah, because somebody
So
else
that
cut
could
someone that
happen
you're
with
like, oh,
Nick.
we're gonna pick
Yep.
him up.
It could make the first 53
Well,
and then
remember
get cut.
54 will make the roster because Will Fuller is suspended. So he's like,
Right.
it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
his spot is like a ghost spot. So
Now, how does that work with veterans? Because I know veterans, if they go into week 1 with the team, that's guaranteed for the entire year. Is that something that's going to happen too?
I'm pretty sure it is. But I think it's week 2. You have to make it past week 2. Then you get then you're vested for the season. It's good for your pension. You know, let me speak for a couple of guys. Jamal Perry last year I thought played well in his limited snaps, and he's versatile. He could play a lot of places. He can play in the slot. He can play boundary. He could play single high safety. A guy to watch. I don't know if he'll make the team, and he didn't make mine, but I was trying to find a way for him to make it. Is Trill Williams? He's a guy that's going to be exciting to watch. He's a good athlete, and he's always made plays when he plays. So he's a guy that could flash big time in preseason. So
he's more of what, like just a boundary corner though.
Trill Williams is more of a single high guy. Like he's kind of one dimensional, which kind of hurts him as far as making this team. But if you want a single high guy, a guy to just play single high, he's it.
So you think he's a practice squad guy?
I don't know. Somebody will pick if they try to pass him off, maybe he'll make it onto the practice squad.
You think then, like that? I guess there's a lot of people. I think that you look at this Dolphins roster and you kind of see like, man, I could see this person staying on the roster and I think we touched that with Malcolm Perry, just because you're like, I know team X or team whatever is gonna get them, and I don't want them to have.
Yeah, and that's something that I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were telling me, man, you're gonna go into the season with Matt Skura, man, and he has the yips and all that. And I was thinking, no, they're not going into the season with Matt Skura. They're going into the preseason with Matt Skura. Mm-hmm. So maybe he plays a lot. They watch him, and maybe before the third preseason game, they're like, you know what, we got to get out there. Yep. We got to go start looking for a center. And there's going to be a good player somewhere.
Yeah, and maybe they do the same with running back, and then bring in a guy like Le'Veon Bell.
God, you're so thirsty for running backs.
I need it.
You're like a 14-year-old boy in middle school or high school, wherever the heck that is.
I don't know, dog. I just saw what Le'Veon's Bell baby mama said about him, and I'm just like, man, I don't know.
You guys saw Colin Cowherd today. He had his predictions today for the AFC. You saw that?
I saw that. I think he had the Dolphins 10-7, right?
He had them 10-7, making the playoffs and making a lot of noise.
He had the Pats at 9-8 too, which is funny.
Yeah, somehow Tua sucks.
Yeah, he had us at 10-7.
10-7 and making noise.
The Dolphins should have drafted a quarterback, but we're 10-7.
Well, you know what's funny about that? That means he had literally the Patriots and the Dolphins in week 18 at 9-7 playing for. I'm assuming in his scenario.
So what you're saying is that he made the same prediction that you did, Juan.
I think he made the same.
No, right. So then what you're saying is you are Colin Cowherd.
Look, Juan is not crazy.
I don't think
Juan is not crazy for picking 10-7. That's completely legitimate. But Juan is crazy. He said 10-7, but he's not crazy for picking 10-7. That's completely legitimate.
It was the way he did
That's a good, solid opinion that he can defend, and I could even defend it for him.
I think everyone thinks.
But I think he is absolutely insane if he thinks that they're going to lose back-to-back weeks to Carolina and the Giants.
100%.
Thank you.
Like they're going to lose one.
I'm not backing out from those two.
Well, you understand that for them to lose 2 home games in a row to
that quality,
to lose 2 home games in a row as favorites, I don't think it's happened in the franchise's history.
I
went back like 34 years.
I just think
you're just crazy, bro.
With the Giants, there's a lot of offensive talent that, as much as we love to sit here and shit on Daniel Jones because he fumbled 70 yards later, he ran it for 70 yards.
You're saying we're losing
but remember,
Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold.
Yeah, your prediction is a 2-part prediction. You have Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones smoking a Brian Flores defense.
Picked off Patrick Mahomes thrice in a single game.
Really
will lose to Ghosts.
And I remind you, the week that Sam Darnold said, "I'm seeing ghosts," he was facing a Brian Flores defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think I'm telling. I'm not gonna defend Darnold. All I'm gonna say is I'm 100% convinced Joe Brady will get himself that Cincinnati job next year.
But you realize there's a pattern with you, right? Because first it was Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones was your boy, right? Mac Jones, right. Mac Jones was your boy. Sam Darnold's gonna beat us. Daniel Jones is gonna beat us. I'm
just telling you. I think that
so we lose to Ben Roethlisberger too, right?
No, come on, let's be real. For me, it's the talent around those guys. You guys are stuck on those guys. I get it, but you're gonna tell me that Darius Toney. I'm looking at you, Kai. You're gonna tell me Saquon Barkley. You're gonna tell me Evan Ingram. I see us struggling with that concept if they're healthy at that point.
Evan Ingram, who's been struggling,
if they're healthy at
that point.
No, bro, listen.
We could be trotting out there Lynn Bowden, if they're healthy, Malcolm Perry, and Isaiah Ford for all we know.
If they're healthy, my expectations are the Dolphins cannot lose those 2 games back to back. And if they did, they got to that point undefeated, and that is the only way I will allow it. Back to back at home to that.
If they lose back to back games, there's nothing I can
listen. It's for me. It was either they lose those 2 games at home or they're losing the Saints and the Tennessee games out of the way. So
we agreed we're going to the Giants game, right?
That sounds so much more believable.
I'm just telling you. 10-7 for me, and those are like the 4 swing games.
Okay,
but
I'll wrap it.
I will say 1-4.
I'll wrap it on this. The 3 of us know what you did. You had a second. You sat down. You opened a box, and that box had common sense on the inside. You locked it. You threw it away, and then you never looked back.
Like Jumanji at the end of it, gone. Someone else could deal with it.
All right, I have the odds here.
Jumanji at the end of which one?
The original. We don't count the new ones with Kevin Hart.
That one came out before 2000.
The original?
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
I just gave myself.
Got him.
You did it. You did it. You got that one.
You got
but
out.
I had Robert Williams. Come on. I had Robin Williams. That doesn't even count.
I thought you said Robert Williams. I was like,
no.
Slap you to
Robert
camera.
It was gonna come out, but I stopped it because I knew you guys are.
What were you saying, Alfredo, as a wrap up? You were saying
that I had the lines for all the games, and the Dolphins are 4.5-point favorites against Carolina, 3.5-point favorites against the Giants.
So that's then really,
wash. I just want you guys to
know. I know, because it's an automatic -3 for a home team. So they're saying
-2.
Oh, is it -2 now?
It was 3.
Yeah, it's -2. It's always been -2.
So it's basically 2.5 points really to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
and then 1.5 points to the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. That's still enough.
They are the biggest underdogs in the season against Tampa Bay. They are +7.5 against Tampa Bay.
And you want to know something? Because it's Flores against Brady, that feels like a game that I think they can come away with.
And the Dolphins are the biggest favorite at home against Houston. They're -7.5 against.
See, and that to me. Look, outside of that Man Campbell game, we have always struggled against Houston.
We have. I remember losing to not Aaron Foster.
How are we with the Ravens game?
Okay, Ravens, Baltimore. They are 3-point underdogs against Baltimore,
and that's
why
clear,
are we playing? Why are we playing them again? Why do we play them every year? Can we stop this? It's every year for the past 6 years. We've played the Baltimore Ravens, right? I can't. You know what? On that note, now I'm depressed. I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep. All right, Don't forget what we said. Follow Finn's Dynasty on Instagram. Huge thank you to Alfredo for being here. Absolutely go check out 3 Yards for Carry. That just came out tonight. You can find that on all the podcast platforms and as well here on YouTube. It will be up probably tomorrow. I'm assuming around tomorrow. I mean, that's up to Alejandro and stuff, but probably the next day or so. You can find that
really
on
quick.
here. Yeah.
We played Baltimore 7 times in the past 11 years.
How many times have we won?
Once, I think.
Does that include the playoffs?
2015.
Son of a bitch.
Yes, it does include the playoffs. We lost 27-9 in the wild.
Right, but no, if we played them in 15, I know we played them the year that we stunk, right? That was the first game.
And then
we got blown out.
I remember we played them, and then Ajay was traded.
We played them twice. We played them twice under Adam Gase.
Our last 3 games against Baltimore are 59-10, 40-0, and 38-6.
Remember when I was saying that Harbaugh was good, and y'all like, but the Browns, you remember that? But Harbaugh is trash.
I never said anything about the Browns. What do you mean? Wait, what?
Right.
Just end the show, Michael. Just
all right, I'll end it. Thank you, Alfredo, for being here. Kai, Juan, anything else you guys want to add?
Nah, bro. Appreciate you.